At Downtown Bentonville Inc., we love sharing stories on Bentonville and beyond. Well, today we're getting a new view of Bentonville and Northwest Arkansas. We're getting a view from the sky. We're going to go with the director of Oz1 Flying Club, Jordyn Haught, and she's right behind me. We're about to get into that plane right there, learn a little bit more about Jordyn, and get up in the sky.
I've been around aviation my whole life. My dad was a pilot when I was a little girl, and airports, just being an airport rat, anything to be able to be at an airport. So flying was always my favorite thing. As long as I can remember, my first memories are on airfields. So I was really lucky that I had that introduction, but I didn't have anyone in my life who encouraged me to fly. And in fact, I didn't know a single female pilot at that time. And then I was about 30 years old, and I was on a Twin Otter flying around islands in the Caribbean. And it just so happened the pilot was a woman. And we struck up this conversation, and she could see how passionate I was about it and how much I loved it. And right before we got on the airplane, she looked me in the eyes and she said, "You need to be a pilot." And it was the first time in my whole life that I thought, I could be a pilot. So I came back and I started flight lessons. We opened in October of 2018. At that time, I was a server with the club. I was a flight student, and so Oz1 approached me about helping open the club. And we opened in October 2018. We had a handful of members at that time, and now we're up to about 320 members.
What?
Yep.
Wow. So how does one become a member?
That depends on what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a social membership, just to be around pilots, even if you're not a pilot, we have a social membership. For our flying members, it's a little bit more complicated. We do have a fleet of 7 aircraft. So if you're looking for something to fly, we do a logbook review. We talk through qualifications and credentials and how we go about getting you checked out in the aircraft. And then we start that process. Oz1 Flying Club exists specifically to make aviation accessible in Northwest Arkansas. We have an amazing flight school here, and they make it easy to get started and start flying. But the issue that a lot of people face when they finish and they get their private pilot certificate, what do they fly at that point? So the club exists to meet that need. We're here to give you high quality, absolute highest quality, best maintenance with the least stress possible. You know, we take care of pulling the airplane out for you and keeping it clean and keeping it in good condition. And that is real accessibility. I can say that as an aircraft owner. There's a lot to be said for having somebody else take care of all that, especially, and there's so many barriers to entry. We have a lot of young pilots, which is really unusual. We have so many young professionals here in Northwest Arkansas, and they're flocking to aviation. So we're happy to give them a home. And we have a disproportionately high number of female students compared to the rest of the industry. Same thing in the club, I think. So yeah, we skew younger than the average for sure. So we're extremely family friendly here. That's the point. That's why you don't see any fences around us. We've worked really hard to make this an airport that's totally accessible to the community. You know, I think people are shocked when they come to Northwest Arkansas. I'm from here, so I'm an advocate for sure. I've been all over the world, and I choose to live here because it is exceptional. But from the air, Northwest Arkansas is truly beautiful. Earlier today, actually, all morning I've been flying because we have a friend in town from Germany, and we've been flying him all over the Ozarks, and he's just astounded, you know, constantly. Oh, it's so beautiful. And you go a few miles and the landscape changes completely. I think it's unmatched, unparalleled, and it's different, you know, than what you'll see elsewhere, but it's worth coming into town to see. And if you live here, you have to see it from that perspective at least once in your life. If you're just looking to see the Ozarks from a bird's eye view, you can come here to Thaden Field and get something we call a scenic flight. And so that's a little 30-minute flight, and we'll buzz you around the Ozarks. Right over downtown Bentonville, you'll see crystal bridges from the air, which is really gorgeous, to a really beautiful grass airstrip called Trigger Gap. We've worked with a lot of partners. The Recreational Aviation Foundation worked with them to make that happen. Nature Conservancy actually owns that land, and it's one of the first times they've partnered to turn one into an airfield.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're so lucky to have that right here in our backyard.
So what do you think about when you're in the air? Other than like not crashing, right? What do you think about?
You know, that's one of the beautiful things about flying, is that you get so caught up in the flow of it that you stop thinking. When it's really good, you don't as a person exist. You know, your ego or personality or whatever just ceases to be, and you're just fulfilling the tasks in front of you. And there's a real sense of satisfaction in there, like a freedom and a joy, a release of having to think about, you know, the day-to-day stuff in life, and just being totally absorbed in that task.